Let's get it, everybody. Hope everybody's having a good Tuesday, April 19th. Let me wait for Instagram to let everybody know that I have started a live event. As y'all are checking in, shout yourselves out. Shout yourselves out in the comments section. We're going to get into it in 1 second. Hope everybody's having a great Tuesday, April 19th. Hope everybody paid their taxes. Hope you didn't have to pay too much of a bill. I mean, the goal is to pay as little as possible. I mean, that's the way the system is set up. Now, if you got a job, they take it from you, so you ain't got a choice. But everybody else, that's the goal. Raquel with an early badge. I appreciate you, Raquel. Shout out to you. Carter. Shout out to Dre for changing my life. All right, I'm going to screenshot that. Shout out to everybody whose life I changed. Shout out to Carter. As y'all are checking in, shout yourselves out in the comments section. We're going to get into this in 1 second. The topic is selling yourself. That is the topic here today. I'm going to wait like 30 seconds to let a few people jump in, and then we're going to get straight into the game here today. Hope all y'all have a great start to your week. It is a beautiful day out here in South Florida. Y'all can't see outside. I'm not near a window, but it is a beautiful day out here in South Florida. We're going to make it a beautiful conversation here today. Ryan checking in from Ohio. What's going on? Shout out to Ohio. Today is a recording day for me, so I'm going to do this live. Then I'm about to record for my masterclass, Work on Your Game masterclass on this microphone right here. I got a bunch of topics laid out. I'm about to do a long series on sports and how sports has gotten, how we have feminized sports and not in a positive way. And I'll explain that on my podcast. If you listen to my podcast, you know I always explain things out so you'll know exactly what I mean. We'll get into that in a minute. NYC is in the house. Shout out to New York, man. I ain't been to New York. When the last time I was in New York? I think it was before the virus and all that stuff started. But I am going to come back to New York. Now they dropped the mask mandate. Yeah, I'll definitely go to New York then. But they got to drop all that. I ain't wearing a mask on the train, on the bus, on Uber, none of that. I ain't doing none of that. So anywhere that you got to do that, I ain't going. But shout out to New York. Carter said, for real though, you did in 10th grade. I found your videos on self-growth. That's what's up. Shout out to everybody who took that message off the court. So anyway, for those of you who don't know me, and those of you who do, let me introduce myself. My name is Dre Baldwin. Many know me as Dre all day, former 9-year pro athlete, author of 31 books, creator of this whole philosophy brand business. It's called Work on Your Game. It's all about taking the mental tools to help you succeed in the sports world and applying those tools at work and in everyday life. I am talking here today on a subject that is related to an event that I have coming up on May 5th and 6th. So coming up this Thursday, we're going to be 2 weeks away, May 5th and 6th. It's going to be a Thursday and a Friday. It's a virtual event, which means you can take it from the comfort of your own home, wherever you live, Ohio, Oklahoma, New York, like Raquel, Ohio, like Ryan, Oklahoma, like Big Brother Bell checking in from Oklahoma. So any of those people, anywhere you're at, actually, not any of those people, but anywhere you're at and those people, you can take it from wherever you're at. It's called Work on Your Game Live. You can get your ticket at that link right there, workonyourgame.live. It is the bio link on Instagram for me. This is a 2-day event specifically for the entrepreneurs, thought leaders, authors, coaches, speakers, people who want to host events. You want to have your own mastermind, your own courses, any of that stuff where you're selling your intellectual property. That's what this event is about. And today I'm talking to you a topic that is basically going to prime you up. I'm getting you ready for this event with what I've been doing on these lives the last couple of days. The topic here today is selling yourself. That's what we're talking about here today. And while I'm talking here today on this subject, anybody who has a question or a comment on anything that I'm talking about that's related to the topic, just leave a comment and I will address all of them at the end of this. So I want to get straight into this. Again, my event is happening May 5th and 6th. It's a 2-day event. You can get your ticket by going to workonyourgame.live. All you got to do is get a ticket. If you miss a day or you miss something or you want to review something, of course you will have access to the replays. So everything will be recorded. The replay will only be available for people who actually have a ticket, though. If you don't have a ticket, you will not have access to the replay. So that is, again, at workonyourgame.live. Now, the topic today is about selling yourself. And I explain to people all the time, I say this, the number one skill that made my career in sports and made my career in business is my ability to sell myself. See, a lot of people think, because my background, many of you probably know my background's in basketball. I played basketball professionally for almost a decade. And while I was playing ball, Of course, you got to have game to play professional sports. So you got to play basketball, run, jump, shoot, play defense, grab rebounds, all of that skill stuff that y'all see basketball players doing on TV, I guess on the internet these days. But the thing for me, coming out of the level that I came from, I went to a Division III college. When I got out of school, I didn't have a bunch of teams trying to recruit me to play for them. Nobody was really checking for me. I had to make people want to check for me. So the reason that I was able to make it pro was not necessarily because of my talent. Yes, I did have talent, but a lot of basketball players have talent who never play pro. A lot of people have talent for speaking who never get on and make a business out of speaking. A lot of people have talent for writing, or they got a story to tell, but they never are able to actually generate revenue from their writing or from the story that they have to tell. So it's not about the thing. And I just wrote an article about this, as a matter of fact, that went out to some of you if you're on my email list, depending on where you are. I got a long automation funnel, so you might not have gotten it yet. But one of the emails that I do send out is about selling things. And the gist of the article was, I was getting on the elevator in my building a couple weeks ago, and I had one of those big luggage carts, and I had all these packages on the cart because I was about to take them to the post office for shipping. And there was a bunch of these books that you see behind me. I had them packaged up, about to ship them out. And one of the management people who works in the building, he saw me with all the packages. He hadn't seen me with all that stuff before. He was like, "Man, that's a lot of packages." He's like, "What do you do?" Because he could tell that it was like my stuff that I'm sending out. And I explained to him, well, I'm in the sales business. I sell things. That's what I do. These happen to be books. I didn't explain all of this to him, but I just said, well, I'm in the sales business. These are books. And then he asked me, what do you write about? And then the elevator, he stopped, he got off. But the whole point is, a lot of people might think, some of you know me, you might think, depending on where you know me from, like Ryan saying he knows me from the basketball world. You might think I'm in the basketball business. Some of you might know me from these books. You might think I'm in the book business. Some of you might know me from these events. You might think I'm in the event business, or you might listen to my podcast, which is called Work on Your Game, by the way, for those of you who don't know. You might think I'm in the podcasting business. Listen, I'm not in any of those businesses. I'm in the sales business. I just happen to use those to sell things. All right, and when I'm selling books, I'm using books to generate sales. That's a sales business. When I played basketball, I was selling my ability to play basketball. I was selling that. That's the business that I was in. If I decided to get into, I just posted on my IG story, because I was talking to my man yesterday. He knows about like cryptocurrencies and stuff. He's like, Dre, you need to learn about what's going on with NFTs. He was just telling me a little bit about NFTs, and he sent me a link because he knows a guy who opened like an NFT restaurant. I don't even know what that means, but he sent me the link, and he's like, damn, you got to learn what's going on. And I was like, all right, I'm going to look into this NFT thing. So if I get into NFTs and I make a work on your game NFT, then guess what? I'm going to be using NFTs to move my sales business forward. But all of us, if you're in business, if you use the word business, you are in the sales business. And you don't have to be an entrepreneur to be in the sales business. If you have a job, you're still in the sales business. If you work at the post office, what are you selling? You're selling your ability to do the job for the USPS so that they pay you by the hour and you get that check every 2 weeks. You're still selling yourself. If you're a dog walker, like where I live in a condominium. So in these buildings, there's a bunch of people, and a bunch of people have dogs, and sometimes they're at work all day. So they need somebody to walk their dog maybe in the middle of the day so the dog doesn't pee on the floor in the house. So they get the dog walker to do it. You're in the business of selling your dog walking services. Dog walking is just the tool that you use to accomplish the goal. You understand what I'm saying? So I tell people this all the time. Like, I was in the business of using basketball. I've always been in the sales business. At one point, I was in the business of basketball for sales. Then I was selling basketball stuff on the internet, like to basketball players, teaching them how to play basketball. Then for a while, I was doing courses, and I started doing books a little bit. Then I kind of let basketball go. I don't really sell that much basketball stuff. I don't promote it. I still sell it, but I don't promote it that much these days. Now it's more working with people like you all, entrepreneurs, business people who want to get into thought leadership and selling intellectual property. So the vehicle changes, but the general business has never changed. The general business has always been, I'm selling something. I need to make an exchange. I just talked about this in the last live. There's always an exchange that needs to take place. Again, even if you have a job, there's an exchange. When I mentioned working at McDonald's. When I was a senior in high school, that was an exchange. What was the exchange? It's very simple. McDonald's says, Dre, you come to work from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., 3 days a week. We're going to pay you this much per hour. And what's the exchange? I show up and do my job. They give me a paycheck. That is an exchange. When you're an entrepreneur, I tell you, all right, I'll give you here's the hardcover copy of my book, the third day. If I autograph this book, the autographed copy of this book is $49.99, or it might just be around $50. So $50 for the book. You give me $50, I will autograph this book. I will autograph it right here on this page. My autograph will be right here on this page, and I will mail it to you. That's the exchange. You get the book with the autograph. I get the $50. All right, you want just the book? You want the paperback version of the book? All right, you just cover the shipping and handling is $9.95. I will send you the book. That is the exchange. So there's always an exchange that is taking place. You need to know what your exchange is, and you have to figure out, how do I sell it? That is the business that you're in. And at Work on Your Game Live, I will be talking about this in detail. So any of you who wants to get into the exchange business, does not matter what you are exchanging, then you need to get a ticket to my event. Again, it's at workonyourgame.live. I appreciate you, Raquel. You got another badge. I appreciate that. So now I want to get into my point. I didn't even get into my points yet. So I want y'all to understand something. All right, I'm not trying to hype myself. I don't need to hype myself up, because the substance speaks for itself. I'm only in the introduction of what I'm going to give you here today. If this is giving you value, all right, imagine what it's going to be like when you spend 2 entire days with me. Again, you can do this virtually. You only have to fly to Miami. You get 2 entire days. I'm going to be going deep on these subjects. You'll be able to see this on the screen, so you'll be able to know if you want to take a screenshot and all that stuff, because it'll be on Zoom. You'll get the replays, so you can watch this stuff over and over again, so you can study it the same way you would study something that you learned at school. And all your questions specifically about you, I will answer, because I'll be able to give you personalized attention, because you'll be at my event. So if you think this is good, and I'm just kind of talking off the top right here on this live, imagine what it's going to be like you come to one of my events. So I am 100% substance. I've been doing this for a long time, just like you heard Ryan say there, since the basketball days. And I ain't played basketball since 2015. So imagine how long I've been doing this. And I was on YouTube in like 2005. So I've been in this game for a minute, y'all. So I just want to make sure all y'all understand that my next event, workonyourgame.live, is happening May 5th and 6th. If I was you, I would get a ticket. I mean, that's just me. I don't know about you, but that's just me. I would get a ticket to the event if I was you. So what I want to talk about here today is how selling yourself is the most valuable skill. Let me not say the most. One of the most valuable skills that you are going to use and leverage in moving yourself, your brand, your business, your career forward, no matter what you do. Again, you don't even have to be an entrepreneur, but you do need to know how to sell yourself. So point number 1. This is the skill, selling myself, like I just told you. So I remember when I wrote my book, when I wrote this book, Work on Your Game, chapter 7 of this book. I know it's chapter 7 because I've gone through this, talked about this book so many times. So in chapter 7, no, actually I got it wrong. Chapter 8. Chapter 8 is called Selling Yourself. Tillman, what's going on, my man? Chapter 8 is called Selling Yourself. So I remember when I was doing we were going through the editing of this book, right? And the way the editing works when you're working with a publisher is, or any editor as a matter of fact, is that you got all the stuff laid out in the book, and then you send the document to the publisher, like Google Docs or Microsoft Word or whatever, and then they leave their little comments, and then they send it back to you, and then you see all the comments, and then you leave your comment back, you respond, you make the edits, whatever it's going to be. And when I put chapter 8 in here, I called the chapter Selling Yourself. That's the title of the chapter. It's called Selling Yourself, chapter 8 of this book. So if you don't have this book, get it. It's a whole chapter on selling yourself. And my editor, there's kind of a very traditional style publisher. She put in the comments, she's like, this title is kind of risque, don't you think? She actually wanted to change the title and not call it Selling Yourself, because she thought it had like connotations to like prostitution or something like that. That's what she was thinking when she heard the title. And I said back to her, you have to be joking. There's no way we're changing that title. And as you can see, it's in the book. So we did not change that title. The whole thing is, how I define selling yourself is very simple. So listen to this definition. Selling yourself means persuading other people to see the value of what you offer, and thus being willing to take the next step with you, whatever that next step happens to be. And if you really think about that definition, you do this all day, every day. Everybody does this. Let me tell you how you do it right here on this platform, wherever you're watching. If you're watching this on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, you do this. You put a video on YouTube. What's the purpose of you putting a video out? You want people to listen to what you say, of course. Now, you might have a call to action. You might tell them, like I'm telling you right now, go get a ticket to my event. You might tell them, hey, subscribe to my channel, like the video, share the video, tell your friends about it. On Instagram, you make a post. What do you want people to do? You want them to like your post, leave a comment, follow you, right? Every time you put yourself out there to the world, you want people to take the next step, whatever that next step might be. It might be following you, subscribing to you, liking your stuff, sharing your stuff, buying something from you, whatever it is you want them to do. Signing the petition, spreading the word about whatever cause you're talking about, giving a donation, whatever it is that you want. There's a next step that you want people to take. You got to sell them on the first step in order for them to take the next step. That's what selling yourself is all about. So when you go to if you play sports and you go to tryouts, what are you doing? You're trying to get to the next step, which is what? Being on the team. The next step is from tryouts is to get on the team, right? You go to a job interview. What's the next step after a job interview? You get hired and you actually have the job. What's the next step if you're an entrepreneur and you do like a lot of people who are in the coaching world, they do any kind of coaching, they'll do like a free session, right? You get on a call, you get on a strategy session with me, and I'll talk to you for an hour about what you're working on, what you're trying to do, and then what am I going to do? I'm going to make you an offer. I'm going to tell you, all right, you pay me this much money, and I'll work with you for the next 6 months on this and this and this, and whatever you're trying to achieve. What am I doing? I'm trying to get you to the next step. So I'm get you to this step so I get to the next step. I'm always selling myself, and the way I sell myself in that is I got to be good enough in this part in order for you to want to go to the next part. If you're single right now, you're trying to get a date or trying to find a person to be with, what do? You put yourself out there. You get yourself dressed up. You make yourself look good. You go to the gym. You work out. You clean your clothes. You make sure your car is nice and shiny. And then you might get on the dating app. And what do? You put your best foot forward, right? So what? So that guy or that girl that sees you is interested, and y'all connect, and then you go to the next step, which is, all right, let's exchange information. Next step, let's get on the phone. Next step, let's meet for coffee. Next step, let's go on a date. Next step, the second date, and then it goes on from there. So you're always selling yourself. We're always trying to sell ourselves just to whatever the next step is going to be. Everybody does this all the time. You might not look at it this way, but again, now you do because I just gave it to you. So next, Raquel said you be selling yourself short all the time. What do you mean by that, Raquel? Leave a comment, because that's an interesting point, and I think other people will be able to relate to whatever you're saying, because people do sell themselves short all the time. I don't know what you mean, but I'm sure I'll be able to put it in context. So let's move on to the second point. We're talking about selling yourself here today. Number 2, there are many times in life that you got to sell yourself just to get the chance to sell yourself. So sometimes you got to kind of you got to go backwards in order to get to step number 1. In order to get to the chance to sell yourself, you got to get yourself seen in the first place. So let me give you an example of what I mean by this. Sometimes in sports, for example, like when I was playing ball, especially at the pro level, sometimes not every tryout is an open tryout. Sometimes teams like the NBA G League, which is like the minor league for the NBA, they have these things called open tryouts, which are actually, generally, in my opinion, is not a good business move for most of you. They're mostly just taking your money. You're not really getting a real opportunity. I got a video on YouTube where I've said this in detail. So this is not some random pot shot I'm taking at the G League. I've said it out loud. Everybody knows it. And the thing is, they have these open tryouts where anybody could show up. Like if I wanted to right now, I told you I ain't played a basketball game in years. I could show up to a G League tryout this year right now, and if as long as I pay the money, they'll let me try out, even though I'm not going to make the team. And somebody who works out every day, they could try out too, and they're going to take your money the exact same way. And the thing is this: there are some tryouts at the pro level of basketball where if you don't know somebody and nobody knows you, you can't even get in. You can't even come to the tryout. Meaning, if you don't know the right person, you can't even get in the game. You can't even get. I just got a phone call come in. Hopefully it doesn't stop my live connection. Can everybody hear me? Somebody leave me a comment. Let me know they can hear me so I can keep going. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can everybody hear me? Somebody leave me a comment. Let me know they can hear me. This happened the other day. All right, y'all can hear me? All right, cool. Great. So, and somewhere in the pro leagues, if you don't know the right person, you can't get in. In like acting, any of you knows anything in the acting world or like casting calls for modeling and stuff like that, then if you don't know the right person, you wouldn't even know that the casting call took place. So if you're trying to get on a pilot for a TV show, or you're trying to get a gig for a commercial or something like that, and they pay a lot of money, you'd be surprised. If you don't know the right person, you don't have the right agent, you won't even get that call. You don't even know that there's a casting call taking place. So you have to know somebody in order to even get a chance to get yourself seen. I'll give you another example. In the speaking world, for example, when I've done speaking gigs, like this book right here, the way that I got the deal to do this book was I did a speaking gig. I spoke at a conference for free, meaning they did not pay me to speak at the conference. And when I got off the stage speaking at the conference, a bunch of people approached me, and I made a bunch of deals with people who were in the room. They saw me speak, and then they wanted to do some business with me. But if I hadn't gotten on the stage in the first place, the business never would have taken place. This book wouldn't exist, at least not in this way. This exact book wouldn't exist. I still would have did the book, but it would have came out in a different way. And the thing is, in order for me to get on that stage to speak and not even get paid, I still had to get chosen. I had to apply to get chosen to speak for free. That really happened, and that still happens. That happens in the business world all the time. And I didn't get paid they didn't pay for my hotel, my food, my flight, none of that. They didn't pay me to speak. They did give me video from the speech, so I did leverage that. So you got to figure out, you got to kind of understand the strategy of the game that you're playing. All right, so if I do this and I make this investment out of my pocket, how do I make that money back? How am I going to make that back? What's the next step that I got to take? So many times in life, and I'm going to answer everybody's comments and questions at the end. So if you post something and I don't respond to it immediately, I will get to it. And there are many times in life where you got to make the first sale in order to make the real sale. You understand? And that's the game that you're in. And as long as you understand that game and you have a strategy for it, you can make it work. But if you don't have a strategy, you can end up screwing yourself over, because then you put all those resources out, and how are you going to get it back? What's the next thing that you're going to get from it? Like, how are you going to get that time back? How are you going to get that opportunity cost back, that money that you didn't make? How are you going to get it back? So when I went to that speaking gig, I had to pay, think about that, a flight, a hotel, food, the time that I spent. How do I make that money back? Well, I can make that money back by getting a publishing deal. I can make that money back by booking a speaking gig. I can make that money back by the people who saw me in that audience. They go to my website and they go sign up and buy something or whatever it's going to be. But what if I didn't have those things in place? Now, that's just a sunk cost, right? So now you got to really think about, you got to strategize. If I'm going to sell myself here this way, what's the next step that I got to take? So in the book publishing world, for example, since I've written a bunch of books, you know that any of you ever wants to write a book, you can't just call a publishing company. You can't just call Random House and say, hey, I got this book idea. I got this great story about my life. Can y'all help me do this book? They're not even going to take your call. Like, they got an automated system that they will not take your call, and nobody's going to call you back. In order for you to even get a chance to get a publishing deal, you have to know somebody who knows somebody over there, so that they can even get your manuscript in the hands of somebody who can look at it, and then they still got the option to say no. The great thing about self-publishing is that now you can bypass all those gatekeepers. You can just put your own book out by yourself. The challenge with that is nobody knows who you are. Now, who you going to sell your book to? Who's going to buy your book? See, all of these things you got to figure out. And so I could go write 20 books right now and put them on Amazon right now today. Now, the challenge is, now I got 20 books, but who's going to buy it? Who am I going to sell it to? Now, how am I going to sell myself to get you to buy my book? I got to figure all of that stuff out. So understand that just because you understand the concept of selling yourself doesn't mean you're actually going to be good at it. So now what are you going to do? How are you actually going to do the selling? Many people don't understand this concept, or even when they do understand it, they fail to execute on selling themselves. Understand that there is a process to selling yourself. I talk about process and strategy and structure all the time. You got to be following this process to make these things work. So having a game is one thing. Being able to sell your game is another thing. Those are two different skills. Let me say that one more time, because I want to make sure everybody caught that. Having game is one thing. These books are like me having game. Like, I can tell you that these books are amazing. They're the best books in the world. But what value do these books have sitting here in front of me? I already wrote the books. I don't need these books. So unless I can get you to get these books, it doesn't matter how good they are. Right? So my ability to write a book is unquestioned, because you see all the books behind me, right? But what really matters, the business part, is my ability to sell a book. Writing and selling are not the same thing. They are two different skills. So just because you wrote a book doesn't mean you sold a book. And there are a lot of people who, we're going to move on to my third point, and it leads right into what I was about to say. And we're talking about selling yourself here. So everybody who's in here, I'm going to answer everybody's questions and comments at the end. I got 2 more points. So if you got a question or comment, just stay tuned. I'm going to answer everybody's questions. Here's the third point. Here's a paradoxical truth. And here's something that a lot of salespeople, entrepreneurs, thought leaders, ambitious people, goal setters either they don't understand or they don't want to accept it. But I'm going to keep telling it to you until you accept it. Here it is. The better you are at selling yourself, the less good you actually need to be. I'm going to take a sip of water because I want that one to sink in. The better you are at selling yourself, the less good you actually need to be. You don't actually have to be that good if you're good at selling yourself. Let me tell you what I mean. If you ever been to, like I do professional speaking, so I've done a lot of conferences, events. I'm not talking about like my own self-hosted events, but like I go speak at other people's events. So next month I'm gonna be in Orlando. I'm gonna be speaking at a conference in Orlando next month, and I've spoken at conferences all over the country, even in Canada, internationally as well. And when I go to these conferences, I usually either get there a day early or I stay a day after. So I want to hear some of the other speakers. I go to conferences and I will stay and I will go in the room and sit in the audience just like a regular person with a ticket and listen to some of the other speakers give their speeches. And the reason that I do that is because I want to see what are these other speakers doing, because I might be able to like steal something that they're doing and use it for my speech. And it might be better than me. Like, let me find out. All right, what's this guy doing? He might have some game that I need. I can pick up some game from him. It's like a basketball player watching other players, because you might steal a move or something from somebody. And often I go to these conferences and I'm hearing speakers talk and I'm like, somebody hired this guy? This guy sucks. This girl's speech is terrible. I remember I spoke at a conference a couple years ago. I did a keynote at this conference a couple years back, and it was a 2-day event, right? So it was like Tuesday, Wednesday. So I was the keynote on Tuesday. The keynote is like the big speaker who speaks to everybody. So I did the opening keynote on Tuesday morning, and then they had this woman do the opening keynote on Wednesday morning. And I didn't I didn't leave town until Wednesday afternoon. So I spoke on Tuesday, and then I hung out all day Tuesday, shaking people's hands, taking pictures, all that stuff. And then Wednesday morning, I went in the room and I sat in the audience and listened to the Wednesday keynote speak. And I'm listening to her talk, and I'm like, this woman is garbage. She was trash. She wasn't, actually, her content wasn't that bad, but it wasn't keynote material. She shouldn't have been a keynote speaker. So I think they hired her because they couldn't find anybody better, but she was not good at all. And the thing is this. It doesn't matter what I think about her ability to speak. My opinion of her speech does not matter. I'm just telling you that to frame the point, which is this. She still booked that stage. And guess what? She got paid the same way I got paid. Even though my speech was like 10 times better than hers, in my personal opinion, and it is actually fact, quote unquote fact, my speech was better than hers. It doesn't matter. She got paid the same way I got paid. So what matters is the fact that I sold my speech to get on that stage. She sold her speech to get on that stage. She didn't even have to be good at speaking. She had to be good at selling. That's how she got on the stage. And this is what I want y'all to understand. Many of you out there, and listen, I'm the work on your game guy, right? My whole brand is called Work on Your Game. You see Work on Your Game right here, on these hats, on this book. You see it on my arm. Work on Your Game is everywhere that I'm talking about working on your game. Yes, have game. I'm not telling you not to have game. Make sure you work on your game and be good at what you do. But understand that you could be the best in the world at what you do, but if you can't sell it, nobody will know, nobody will care, and you will never get paid for it. You must be able to sell what you do, not just do what you do. I can't tell you over the years how many times I've been on YouTube. I started publishing videos on YouTube in 2005, basketball stuff. And I pretty much did basketball videos from 2005 to 2015. And during that period, there wasn't a lot of ball players on YouTube. So basically, if you looked up a basketball video on YouTube during that 10-year period, you had no choice but to see me. So I've heard from thousands of basketball players over the years. And I can't tell you how many times I've had basketball players and nowadays entrepreneurs tell me how good they are at the thing that they do, how hard they work at the thing that they do, how much game they have at the thing that they do. Instagram. These people keep trying to call me and trying to get me to set up a conversation with their ad people, but their ad people suck. So I just do it myself. I don't talk to them. Everybody can still hear me again. My phone just rang again. Everybody just confirmed y'all can still hear me before I keep talking. Somebody in Palo Alto keeps calling me. I think it's some Silicon Valley folks. All right, y'all can still hear me. Cool. All right. Well, I'm on Instagram, so I can't be mad at them for calling me. They're trying to get me to get on the phone with their ad people. I spend a lot of money on their ads. No, I can't block them. I gotta keep that number open. But anyway, I can't tell you how many times over the years I've had people come to me and they tell me how hard they work, how good they are at their thing, how bad they want to succeed at that thing. But they don't have a plan for how they're going to sell the thing. See, and their whole thing is, Dre, if I only got an opportunity, if somebody would just give me a chance. I hear from basketball players at least once a week who say, if somebody would just give me a chance, I know I can make it as a basketball player. If somebody would just give me a shot, I know I can play overseas. If somebody would just put me on, I know I can make it at a D1 college and earn a scholarship. If someone would just listen to what I'm saying, I know I could sell coaching. If someone would just buy my book, I know they're going to love the book. If someone would just listen to my story, I know their life would be changed by my story. But here's the thing. Everybody on the planet has a story. Every basketball player in the world thinks they can play. Every entrepreneur thinks their product or service is great. So what separates the people who get known from the people who aren't known is their ability to sell the thing. But understand something. iPhone, the Apple iPhone. I'm talking on the iPhone right now. And maybe I shouldn't say nothing bad about it. They might cut me off. But here's the thing. Is there a smartphone out there that might be better than the iPhone for less money? Probably. Is there an athletic gear company out there whose products are better than Nike? Probably. Is there a company that can sell you stuff that might be better than Amazon? Maybe. Is there a burger company out there that make a better meal than McDonald's? Pretty sure there is. Is there a donut that's better than Dunkin' Donuts? Absolutely. Is there a sandwich better than Subway? Yes. Getting the point of what I'm saying is this. All of you have heard of all of those companies. All right? You heard of McDonald's, Apple, Subway, Nike, Amazon. Why have you heard of them? Why do you know who those companies are? Because they can sell. All right, that's why you know about them. They can sell. You know about Nike, and I know a whole bunch of people who work in the fitness industry, and many of them tell me they don't really like Nike's products, so they start using other stuff. But those other stuff, they ain't making as much money as Nike's making. Nike's in the sales business. Nike's in the marketing business. They're not in the athletic business. They're in the marketing business. So that's why they go get the big name people and they spend as much money. Nike spends millions of dollars a day on marketing and advertising. That's a fact. Millions a day on marketing and advertising. Guess how much they make in sales? More than that. So you ever seen any of you who reads books? You ever read a book that was a bestseller, like it was a real popular book and everybody was talking about it and it was selling a whole bunch of copies, so you was like, all right, let me go get that book. Let me go read that book because everybody was talking about the book, and then you got it and you read it. And you was like, yo, this book is not even that good. This person ain't even saying nothing. How is that? Why is that? How did the book become so popular it's not even that good? Because the quality of the book has nothing to do with how many copies the book sells. You ever heard of any of you ever seen a singer or a rapper, or you heard about them and they were really popular and everybody's talking about them, and then you go listen to their songs and you're like, yo, this girl can't even sing. This dude can't even rap. But why are they so popular? Why are they going on tour and their shows are selling out? Because it's not about the song, it's about their ability to sell who they are. So this is all about selling. Everything comes back to selling. There are crappy books on the bestseller list. There are top selling products on Amazon that are not even high quality products. There are terrible speakers who are doing keynote speeches every single day and getting paid 5-figure fees for doing those keynote speeches. This happens all the time. Any of you ever seen a pretty girl with an ugly guy? Any of you ever outside? Now, if you live in a city like New York, Vegas, Miami, LA, and these kind of towns, you will see there are more attractive women than there are attractive men. So eventually these women got to just pick somebody. You ever seen a pretty girl with an ugly guy? I do, all the time. I live in Miami. I lived in Miami for, how long I lived here? Like 14 years. I see attractive women with average and below dudes all the time. I'm like, why is she with him? But then I realize exactly what I'm telling you right now. Right? Ain't nobody else to choose from. Right? Because that guy figured out how to sell himself. He was able to sell something. I don't know what it is. Listen, not everybody's looks might not be number one on everybody's priority list. The whole thing is his ability to sell himself got him that girl. It wasn't his looks, but it was something that he got. I don't know what, but it's something. And this is what I want all y'all to understand. You're going to sell yourself. You got to figure out what's going to make the sale. What makes the sale? And it might not be what you think. It might not be the thing that you think is great. It got to be the thing that your buyer, your customer wants. So you need to know what your customer wants. And your customer might not care about the same things you care about. So your job is to figure out what that is and sell it. And at Work on Your Game Live, by the way, everybody who's coming while I'm talking, my next event is today's Tuesday. So it starts 2 weeks from this Thursday. May 5th and 6th is a 2-day event. WorkOnYourGame.live is where you get your ticket. That's the link in my bio as well. So I'm just basically getting y'all ready for that event. It is May 5th and 6th, and the topic here today is selling yourself. Number 4, last point, and then I'm going to answer everybody's questions. Start small and go big when it comes to selling yourself. Yes, I will help you figure out your thing, Raquel, of course. All questions will be answered at that event. You will not leave with any questions unanswered. Yes, so workonyourgame.live is where you get your ticket. Again, that's workonyourgame.live. The link is in my bio as well as what you see right there. So start small and go big. In other words, what I mean by this is you got to do good at the small job in order to get the big job. So to go back to an example I gave you a minute ago, I told you I spoke at a conference and I spoke one day and the next day the speaker was trash. Let me tell you how I even got that gig in the first place, which is a keynote speaking gig, which is like the biggest speaking gig you can get at an event is to be the keynote. Everybody in the room is listening to you. The year before that, I spoke at that same conference, but I was a nobody the year before. They had never heard of me. They never knew who I was. I had never heard of them. I actually found them. I think my assistant found the event on Google. She just Googled events. She found the event and she said, Dre, why don't you take a look at this event? It looks like something you might be able to speak at. So I went and filled out the little application form. You can come speak at this conference. It was an application, mind you. It wasn't like just because you fill it out, you can come speak. It was an application. They had to choose me. So I filled it out. They chose me. I came and gave a speech. It was called, if you couldn't guess, it was called Work on Your Game. So I basically laid out my whole framework in the speech. So basically what you read in this book, I laid that out in the speech. And they didn't know me. So mind you, they did not pay for my flight. They did not pay for my hotel. They did not pay for my food. Only thing they gave me was an opportunity to get in the room and talk. Nobody knew me. Nobody there had ever heard of me before. I showed up as a nobody and I got an hour to give a speech. That's all I got. But in that small opportunity that cost me money, it cost me more money to do that speech than I made. In that small opportunity, I killed it. I did my thing and gave a great speech. So here's what happened. So the event it was around this time of year. It's like March of one year. Then around November of that same year, the organizers of the event called me. And they said, hey, Dre, look, it was a conference call. It was like the 3 organizers, and then they had me on the phone. They said, Dre, look, we're getting ready for our event next year. Because usually these conferences, they do the same event every year. We're getting ready for next year's event, and we want a keynote speaker. And we were just looking at the reviews from last year's event, and we just asked, who did people respond to the most? Who did people like the most? And you got really high reviews. Pay attention here. You got really high reviews from your talk, Dre. Because what it was like a general session. So I don't know if any of you ever been to a conference. Any of you ever go to events. They have the keynotes is where like everybody at the event is in one big room talking. But then they have the concurrent sessions. That's when it's like 10 different people are talking at the same time, and each one is in a different room, and you just get to pick which room you want to go in. So I was doing a concurrent session the first year. So I was speaking, and there was like 8 other people giving presentations at the same time, and people just had to choose to come in my room. So the people who came in my room heard me, and they talked so good about me that the event organizers heard about it because they didn't even hear me talk. They just got to hear the reviews of what I said. So they said, well, look, you got really high marks from your presentation, so we want you to give the keynote next year. So basically I went from the small job to the big job. And then with the big job, they actually paid me. The first year they didn't pay me. So I did the first one for free. The next one I got paid. So I had to be willing to invest in myself. First of all, to get the small job. Just to get the job, I had to invest in myself. Then I had to show my game at the small job. Then I got the big job. Y'all see how that goes? There's an order of operations here. Sell yourself for the small job. Have game and show yourself at the small job, then you get the big job. Many people want to go straight into the big job, or they're sitting there watching people get the big job, and they're like, well, why can't I get the big job? Nobody knows who you are. Of course you're not going to get the big job. Why would somebody give you a big job when they never heard of you before? You're going to understand something about business, especially people who are paying you, is that the last thing they want to do is make a mistake. See, a lot of salespeople are focused on the opportunity. You're focused on, well, if somebody would just give me a chance, then I know I would do great. Well, people aren't looking at it like that. They're looking at it like, all right, I got this amount of money to spend. The last thing I want to do is misuse this money and use it the wrong way. I don't want to be wrong. So they want to pick the safe bet. You want to be a safe bet for people. You want people, when they pay you, when they buy something from you, you want them to know. They got to know in their heart of hearts that they're not making a mistake by paying you money. So this is why you got to start off with the small thing, then you take them to the big thing. And you can pay attention to what I'm doing right now. All right? I'm not charging you for this. I'm giving you a live for free. All I'm asking for is your time and attention, and I'm giving you the game and showing you that I got game here. So then when I tell you, go get a ticket to my event, is a much easier ask than if you never heard of me before and I say, go get a ticket to my event without giving you this first. See, I'm giving you a small step so I can take you to the next step. And when I put out my podcast every day, I'm giving you a small step so I can take you to the next step. When I put posts on IG, when I do a reel, when anything that I put out that's not costing you anything, I'm asking you to take a little step, then I'm going to ask you to take another step, then another step, and another step, and another step. So you got to put all this stuff together. But this has to be, you got to have this stuff organized. You understand that I didn't just, I know what I'm talking about here, right? This is not just some random thing that I'm talking about. I know what I'm talking about. So when I get on here, I know that I'm going to give you solid game. So you're like, damn, I never heard of this dude before. I never heard him talk before, but you know, he actually knows his stuff. I'm going to tune in again next time. Some of you might listen to 10 of these before you do anything. Some of you ready to do something right now. Some of you have already done something. But this is why you got to have the opportunity, get the opportunity, have game at the small step, then you go to the big step. And sometimes it might be several small steps before you get the big step. Just like, I mean, you don't meet a girl and ask her to marry you on the spot, right? In the middle of the mall, you meet her, y'all exchange information, y'all go for coffee. You might go on 5 dates before she's even really taking you serious, right? So you got it small steps, one step at a time. Just like a baby trying to learn how to walk. How many times do babies stand up and fall before they can actually walk without falling down? It's many times, right? So all of us got to look at things the exact same way. You go from the small step to the big step. So be grateful when you get a small chance. Just make sure your game is tight so that you don't blow your opportunity. And this is what happens with a lot of people. They get so focused on, well, I didn't get the big gig, so then you don't want to do anything. Take advantage of the small opportunities when you get them. So with all that said, I'm going to recap my 4 points and I'm going to answer all the questions. So whoever got a question, post it in the comments. I'm going to answer it right now. The topic is selling yourself. Number 1, here are my 4 points. Number 1, this is the skill that really made my careers happen in sports and in business. A lot of people think it's because of talent and skill and hard work and determination. Yes, those things matter, but those are not what get you in the game. What gets you in the game is your ability to sell. Number 2, many times you got to sell yourself just to get a chance to sell yourself. You got to sell just to get seen in the first place, let alone to get chosen. Number 3, the paradoxical truth is the better you are at selling, the less good you need to be at actually doing. The challenge, the caveat to the caveat is that if you're not good at doing and you sell yourself one time, you're not going to be able to make a repeat sale. So that's why you want to have game at the thing and game at selling. And number 4, start small and go big. Sometimes you get a small job, be happy for the small job, kill it at the small job, then you get the big job. All that said, let me go through the comments here. I think we got several comments that I'm going to address here. Shout out to everybody who got a badge. Shout out to everybody who bought a badge while I was talking. Shout out to Go Giver. Go Give Her, tuning in from Chicago. Shout out to Chicago. New York is in the house. Shout out to Carter Coates. That's Ryan. Shout out Raquel. Bell from Oklahoma. RJ Clark said, I didn't know you had a podcast. Yes, now you know. It's called Work on Your Game. Look it up. Can I still dunk? I don't know. I told you I haven't even played basketball, so probably not. We'll just say no because I don't play basketball, so we'll just say no. But I ain't trying to dunk. What I'm trying to do is get you to come to Work on Your Game live. That's what I can get you to come to Work on Your Game live, though. I can do that. Raquel said, excellent mentality. Thank you. CL Keith, what's going on? Arbino, MVP student. That's what's up. Shout out to Keith for the badge. Raquel Tillman Givens, what's going on, man? Raquel said, love that definition. Yes. Arbino said, prostitution. I never thought it sounded like that once. Yeah, me neither, but these publishers, that's what they got to think about. Like I told you, they don't want to make a mistake. They're thinking about not making mistakes. I'm thinking about making the best book. So you got to know the mindset of the people that you're working with. It's not just about what you think. You got to understand what they think. So Raquel is selling yourself short. So I know I asked you to tell me what you meant by that. So I'm assuming you put that in here. Arvin said, sell your stuff in exchange for exposure. No, not necessarily. Well, you're not selling anything if it's for exposure. I mean, you get the opportunity for getting seen. I don't necessarily call it just exposure. It's getting yourself seen. If you're good when you get seen, then you'll get the next opportunity right there. Martine, what's going on? LKDB was good. Fit and Melanated said, you have to know someone to try out for the G League. No, you don't. But see, that's the hustle. That's the hustle. They'll charge you $150 to try out and take everybody's money. It's like a $10,000 day for them, but it's not a real opportunity. That's my point. I got a video on YouTube talking about that, fit and melanated. Look it up on YouTube. You'll see the video where it's called, "Is the G League a Real Opportunity?" Just look up that video and hear me talk about it. It's like 20 minutes, and I'll explain why it's not a good business move for a basketball player to go to those tryouts. They're not real opportunities. They sell it as an opportunity, but it's not really an opportunity. Raquel says, "Being too humble, not expressing myself in a way that will take me to that next step because I feel undeserving." Yes, that's a mindset thing, Raquel. And I think you understand that. So at Work on Your Game Live, by the way, everybody, is a 2-day event. Let me tell you how it's going to go. Day 1 is mindset and strategy. Day 2 is execution and performance. So mindset and the strategies, the understandings that you need to have in order to take your career, your profession, your business where it needs to go. This is the most important part. And a lot of entrepreneurs, they want to get straight into doing the stuff. Like what did we just talk about? What I've been talking about for the last 30 minutes is a lot of people want to get straight into doing the stuff. Like they're like, "Dre, how do I write a book? All right, how do I put together a coaching program? How can I do a live event? How can I get a speaking gig? How can I get some clients?" They want to go straight into doing the thing. But if you don't have the right mindset and you don't understand the principles and then the strategies, it doesn't matter what you do. It's not going to work. So that mindset matters a whole lot. So Raquel, I hope you're coming to Work on Your Game Live, because we're going to be going into mindset. We're going to go deep into mindset on day 1, because without that foundation of mindset, it doesn't matter what kind of house you build on top of it, it's going to fall apart. As soon as the wind blows, the whole house is going to fall down. It's like a house of cards. It falls apart if you don't have the right mindset in place. So mindset and strategy is day 1. Execution and performance is on day 2. Again, that's workonyourgame.live. And let me answer everybody else's questions here. I'm going to pull up the website, because all of this stuff is listed on the website, by the way. So everybody who is listening to me right now, if you just go to the site that I have there pinned in my comment, you can read all of this stuff. So everything I'm telling you is in writing, and people believe stuff more when it's in writing than if you just say it. So mindset and strategy on day 1, application and execution on day 2. Let's see. Arvin said, "You did all that for free?" Yes, I did. But there was a strategy to it. That's why I told you, Arvin. Mindset and strategy, day 1. It's not just doing it. It's a strategy behind doing it. Belfort says, "How can one be trusted in selling if they haven't sold before?" Well, that's how you build your foundation. You build your foundation. If you had never bought anything from me before, Belfort, and I know you've been in my world before, but if this is your first time hearing of me, would you have more or less trust in me after the last 30 minutes than you had before? Would you have more or less trust after what I just did? I didn't charge you for it. You didn't buy anything, but I earned some trust from some people over the last 30 minutes because I just showed you that I have game, that I know what I'm doing. So this is one of the ways that you can do it, but this is just a tactic. All right, so don't just go do this just because I did it. I'm saying that to everybody. You need to understand the strategies that govern the tactics and the principles that govern the strategies and the mindset that leads to the principles. So there's a process, there's a framework to this. There's the mindset, then the principles, then the strategies, then the tactics. This right, doing a live, is just a tactic. A lot of people copy tactics, but they don't understand the strategies. That's what we're going to talk about at Work on Your Game Live. Again, that's workonyourgame.live, everybody. Andrea2863, how are you? Belfort says, "How are tactics for selling different when selling to someone in person versus selling over the phone? Is there a difference?" Tactics can change minute by minute, Belfort. Depends on who you're talking to. It's the strategies and the principles that you need to understand, not the tactics. I mean, you need to understand tactics, but tactics are very interchangeable. It's the strategies and principles, bigger picture, higher level that matters. Scary Cats, Decoys, Dog Training. That's a long name. You said you got your books. All right, what books did you get, Scary Cats? I appreciate you. And congrats, you got those books. Fit and Melanated say, "What if you try to sell yourself and many people don't support you?" Well, it's not about supporting you. If you sell yourself, there's only 2 things that can happen when you're selling yourself. Either somebody buys into you or they don't. Those are only 2 things that happen when you're selling. Selling is like shooting a basketball. Either the ball went in the basket or it didn't. You either made the shot or you missed it. So it's not about anybody supporting you. Supporting is like if you're asking people to donate, like do something for you for no reason. Somebody will buy from you if you offer them a good enough reason to buy from you. 48 Laws of Power, my favorite book by Robert Greene, says never appeal to people's mercy or gratitude, appeal to their self-interest. In other words, if you want somebody to do something for you, do something for them. So if I want you to get my book, I'm not going to ask you to support me. I'm going to tell you why you want the book, and you're going to want it for your own selfish reasons, not because you're trying to help me. There's only so much charity any human being has in them. So if you want to get something out of people, you give them something, they give you something. They call it the law of reciprocity. There is a, I believe it was Ralph Waldo Emerson. He wrote a essay on reciprocity. If you haven't read that, Google it, look it up and read it. It's free. It's called Reciprocity. And that's the law of reciprocity, meaning if you want a human to do something for you, all you got to do is do something for them and they will do something for you. It's just the way we are wired. Every human being has this in them. If I help you, you will help me. Belfer says, does the quantity of pitching or selling your products trump everything, always be selling? No, it does not. Because I could decide to spend $1,000 a day on ads, but if I'm not advertising to the right people, then it doesn't matter. I can get a lot of people to click on my website, but they might not buy anything. But I can spend 10% of that. If I target the right people, I can make more money. So, no, to answer your question. Arvin says, that's true. In my industry, one of the worst coaches gets the most clients because he's amazing at marketing and selling himself. Yeah, exactly. And if he keeps getting more clients, it's probably because he's good at doing it too. He's probably good at coaching as well. So it might not just be the selling part, but the selling part is big because the selling part is what gets people in the door. If you can't get people in the door, it doesn't matter how nice your house is, right? Because they never see it. Arvin said, I'd rather be a great coach and get fewer clients because I have pride in not being trash and taking people's money. And Arvin, that's a mindset thing. I would have to push back on that. If you're a great coach, you should think about how many clients do you want. It's not about having less, and it's not about having less clients just to have less clients as a kind of like a righteous, prideful thing. That's not what it's about. You're in the business of earning money. If you're a coach who makes money for coaching and you got space for more clients, take more clients. If you can help them. Now, if you can't take on more clients, you're at capacity, then I get it. Don't take on more clients, but you're not taking people's money. Now, I'm going to push back against that phrase, and that's a money mindset thing. And you're not the only one, so it's not just about you. A lot of entrepreneurs have that problem right there, what you said, taking people's money. You're not taking people's money when you're giving them something that they want. All right, do you think Jeff Bezos has a problem taking, quote unquote, taking people's money? He's not taking anybody's money. He's giving you what you want, and you're paying for it. Now, that's not a negative thing. That's a good thing. If people want what you're offering, they want to pay for it, and you should be wanting to sell it to them. So if they want to buy, you should be wanting to sell. All right, Amazon makes millions of dollars a day in a positive way. I'm happy to give my money to Amazon because they give me what I want. So you're not taking people's money if you're giving them what they want. That's a mindset thing. It's a money mindset thing. And on day one of Working Your Game Live, we're going to talk about that a lot because that right there is 65% of the biggest challenge a lot of entrepreneurs have when it comes to selling anything is their mindset around money. Because a lot of us have been raised around people with broke mindsets. Most of the time, our own parents. They have mindsets of broke people. And if you have a mindset of a broke person, you will become and you will remain a broke person. But here's the good news is you can fix it. Good news, you could do something about it. And listen, I was raised around people with mindsets of broke people. I love my parents, but they have broke mindsets when it came to money. Good thing is I identified it and did something about it. And all of you could do something about it too. I might do a whole live just on that. Coming soon. Stay tuned. Always Training said fitness business for sure. Many influencers are great at selling themselves but suck at getting people in shape. Exactly, right. And the fitness business is big on that because now you got on like an Instagram or TikTok a woman, all she got to do is show her ass and take her clothes off and she can get clients. And she might not even got her body from working out. You know what I'm talking about. So I get it 100%. Calvin 2ENT was good. Calvin Tucker trying to advertise his song. I don't know what that is. Go Give Her said, men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. That's right. Raquel was good. Belfer says, is it called selling when I'm just making sure I'm in the space of the customers, but I don't necessarily say anything? Is it worth time even though I'm not selling verbally? I don't even get that question, Belfer. How can you be selling you don't say anything? I mean, are you doing sign language? What do you mean? What do you mean by is it called selling if I'm just in the space, but I'm not saying anything? You have to explain to me what that means. You might have to tell me at Work on Your Game Live. It might be too much context for me to answer right here. In the long run, Arvin says, in the long run, won't she eventually lose opportunities and many call her out for her bad speaking gigs? It's not negative reviews, Arvin. What will happen is she's not going to get called back. That's what happens. So like when I did that keynote, if I wasn't good, nobody else in the room would say, Dre, I want you to come speak at my event. Come speak at my event. Like a lot of times when I go speak somewhere, somebody out of the audience comes up. It's not the organizers. It's somebody in the audience says, well, look, Dre, I have an event in 6 months. Can you come speak there and give the exact same speech at my event? That happens to me all the time because my speech is actually good. So with her, that probably doesn't happen. So what happens is eventually the well dries up. And after you do a one-off for so many people, you can't get the repeat business. So the biggest thing in business overall, you want to get repeat business. You don't want to always have to get a new customer. You want to sell the current ones. You want to sell them something else. So look at a company like Amazon. Again, how often do you give money to Amazon? Right? We spend money on Amazon every week, right? You get Amazon Prime every year. You're paying that Prime membership. So that's called a repeat customer. You want people to buy from you more than once, not just one time and then never buy from you again. Always Training said, point 3, just hit home. I got to learn how to sell myself. Signing up for Working Your Game Live. Yes, sir. I will see you there. Miss Sis, what's going on? Fit and melanated. Let's see. Poet Elvis Rivas. What's going on, man? Belfer says, is what you say while selling less important than how consistent you are in selling? It's a combination of both. Of course, what you say matters. I mean, people are listening to you. Consistency matters as well. They both matter. I wouldn't put them in a hierarchy. There's an order of operations. There's a strategy to it. Belfer, you just need to be at Working Your Game Live. I see you got a lot of questions, which is good. But at Working Your Game Live, we will address all of this stuff, and I'll answer a lot of your questions before you answer. Arvin said Nike where they are because of MJ. Well, they made a good bet on Michael Jordan. That is 100% true. Very good bet. Raquel, you coming to Work on Your Game Live? That's what I want to know. You help us figure out our thing. Absolutely, I'm going to help you figure out your thing. So I want to know what your skills are, what you're working with, what you want to do, who you want to help, all of those things. Always Training said, heard the TED Talks. Yes, sir. Shout out to TED Talk. I might do another TED Talk. And you know, to get a TED Talk, you got to sell yourself. Like, actually, I got a book I'm gonna make about the TED Talks that I've done and how to actually get a TED Talk. I already got the material ready, but I just got to organize it into a book. That's coming. But to even do a TED Talk, you have to sell yourself. You can't, unless you're famous. If you're like famous, who's somebody that's famous, like, LeBron James might do a TED Talk one day, but that's because they're gonna call him and say, "Hey, LeBron, would you come speak at our TED Talk?" Nobody called me and say, "Dre, come give a TED Talk." I had to sell myself to get that booking. So all of this stuff is about selling yourself. He said, "Hell yeah, they better pay for it." Young Native. Your name is too long, but Young Native. Always stay longer than I intend to in your lives. You must be a good salesman. All right, yeah, well, I'm selling you on your time. That does matter. So, yes, I am a good salesman. I will accept that compliment. Andrea, appreciate that. Armin said, I woke up 30 minutes ago and I haven't left bed because of Dre SMH. Man, why are you waking up? Where you at? You in Hawaii? It's 12 o'clock in the afternoon. You just woke up? Maybe you were out late last night. Armin said, do you think introverts can still make good sellers? Yes, absolutely. Everybody in the world is in the sales business, so I don't care if you're an introvert, extrovert, none of those have nothing to do with your ability to sell. How can introverts step up their sales game? Same way anybody else does. Always Training. So I got 2 people asking questions about introverts. Oh, Scary Cats are in Detroit. The Scary Cats, I was asking, what books did you get? How can introverts step up their sales game? The same way everybody else does. LKD said, been watching you for 2 years. You helped me sell myself, help my basketball game, getting a scholarship to Kansas State as an international student. Respect from Australia. Shout out to Australia. Shout out to you. Congratulations. I need to come out to Australia, but I heard their measures for the virus are crazy right now. So until that's completely gone, I will not be coming to Australia. But as soon as that's over, I will come to Australia. But not with no mandates, none of that. Anything with the word mandate, I'm not coming. Young Incarnate says, it's impossible not to succeed with work on your game mindset. That's a fact. You got the work on your game mindset, it's impossible not to succeed. Y'all just heard it right there. Belfer said, you're always selling. I've never seen you without wearing something and work on your game. That's a fact. We should all do the same. Well, if it works for you, I mean, you don't have to have your brand. Mine just happens to lend itself to this, but I mean, you don't have to have a logo on to sell stuff. Martine says, the recording for day one available right away the same day after the event. Yes, as soon as Martine, as soon as the video is, any of you have been on a Zoom call that's recorded, as soon as it's over, Zoom has to, what do they call it? Render the video. Then they render the video, then we upload it, and then I'll send an email out to all the attendees like, hey, here's the link to watch the video. So yes, by the end of that day, you will have a link to the video. Don't worry, y'all will get everything. Everybody who's going to be at the event, y'all will get everything. You will not miss anything. Pac Riley, my dude, he made the Dre Baldwin theme song back in, what year was that, man? That was like 2009, 2010. Y'all never heard the Dre Baldwin theme song? I don't know where y'all can find it. Actually, look on SoundCloud. You go on SoundCloud, look up Dre Baldwin theme song. Pac Riley right here. He's the guy who made that song. Shout out to you, Pac. Good to see you, man. Always Training says, all money is good money. Take the money. No, that's not what I said. Now, don't misconstrue what I said. What I'm saying is, if you're in the sales business and you are selling something and people want it and you want to help them, then it is your job to go make the sale. Doesn't mean you just take money just to take it. And you're not taking money when you're making a sale. You're not taking money. Taking money is like robbing somebody. Amazon is not taking money when they sell you something. All right, they are making an exchange. Taking means like you didn't want to. Like taking is a bad thing. Right? There's a lot of different ways you can use the word taking. Is an exchange. If I say, all right, this book costs $25 and you want the book, you give me $25, I give you the book. Did I take your money? No, we made an agreement. A sale is an agreement. So as long as people want it, then they will take the offer. That's what they're doing. Andrea said, quality, not quantity. You're worth it if you're amazing. That's right. There you go. Right there. If you're great, then people are going to come buy from you. I mean, think of any company that does a lot of sales. I mean, this microphone right here, this Blue Yeti microphone. The company is called Blue. The microphone obviously is black. But they make a lot of sales because a lot of people want the microphone. So if 1 million people want to buy the microphone, would you only sell 100,000 because you don't want to take their money? Or would you sell 1 million microphones? I would sell all of them. If somebody comes to me and say, Dre, I want to buy all the books you got on the shelf behind you, I will sell them all the books. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to turn around and I'm going to order some more. And a week from now, this shelf will be full all over again with more books. Because they want it, I will sell it. I am a salesperson. A salesperson's job is to sell. Now, if you're a basketball player and you got 30 points at the end of the third quarter, are you going to not try to score points in the fourth quarter because you don't want to score too many points? That makes no sense. You're in the business of putting the ball in the basket. That's why it's called basketball. So your job is to do the thing that you signed up to do. Again, this is a money mindset thing. A lot of people have very, very poor mindsets around money. And I'm going to do a live on that coming up because I see that some of the things that I'm seeing in the comments here today are reminding me of it. But I'm going to talk about that at Work on Your Game Live. And I'm going to do a live on it as a primer before Work on Your Game Live. Again, for those of you who came in the middle, I'm doing a live event May 5th and 6th. That's the link right there, workonyourgame.live. It is the link in my bio. It's a 2-day event. Day 1 is mindset and strategy. Day 2 is application and execution. If you're an entrepreneur, thought leader, professional, brand builder, you are selling your intellectual property, you want to do coaching, speaking, courses, write books, host live events, anything that sounds like that, you need to be at this event. It's a 2-day event. Yes, you will get access to all the recordings as long as you have a ticket to the event. You get your ticket by going to workonyourgame.live. That is the link. Get your ticket ASAP so you can be at that event. It is 2 weeks from this Thursday. It starts 2 weeks from Thursday. Get your ticket now. Don't think about it. Don't say, Dre, I want to, and then think about it for 3 days, and then you're not thinking about it anymore. Get the ticket right now so you can be at that event. I am teaching 100% of the event. I will answer every single question. When you leave that event, all your questions will be answered. That is my guarantee. And go to that website. You can see everything we're going to do on day 1 and day 2 is all laid out in writing. So you don't even have to take my word for it. It's all in writing. You can see it all on that page. To everybody who came in while I was talking here, that's what's happening. Let's see. Belfer said, you will be there. All right, that's what's up. Pac Riley, selling is a mindset. That's right. Andrea said, I think you're amazing. I love the daily motivations. Yes, I love the daily motivations too. Anybody who doesn't get my daily motivation, you can text me at 305-384-6894. That's where you get the daily motivation text. I will post that number in a second. Let's see. Arbin said, I feel guilty of taking money because I know I'm not the best. I know there's always someone better that could have given them more. Well, I just use that as an example. There are sneaker companies better than Nike. There are phones better than the iPhone. There might be an online company that sells stuff that's better than Amazon. There's a food company that's better than, where you like to eat food at. Wherever you like to eat food, there are food companies better than McDonald's. You're not taking money. You are making an exchange. And understand, if somebody wants to buy from you, it is your moral obligation to sell to them. And if you have something that you know can help people, it is your moral obligation to help them. All right, there might be a book out there that's better than Work on Your Game. So what does that mean? Should I stop trying to sell my book because somebody might have a better book? Here's the thing: customers buy more than one thing. All right, is any of you who's listening to me right now, you only buy stuff from one company? Is anybody listening to me who you only buy food from one place? All right, you won't eat Burger King because you are loyal to McDonald's, or you will only ride in an Uber if it's a Prius, but if it's a Toyota, you won't get in it. All right, you will ride Uber, but you won't ride Lyft. You'll fly Delta, but you won't fly American. Is there anybody here who fits that description? You'll drink Coke, but you won't drink Pepsi. You probably can't even taste the difference. You'll use an iPhone, but you won't use an Android. Maybe you have affinity and connection to a company, but if somebody can help you from a different space, you'll take that help. Why? Because you are in the business of serving yourself as a consumer, and as a producer, a salesperson. Your job is to create the exchanges with the people who want to make an exchange. You don't have to be better than everybody to make a sale. Sometimes people buy the cheaper thing. Right? Has any of you ever, check this out, based on what Arvin just said, that you feel guilty making a sale because you know you're not the best. Has any of you ever gone to buy something and then you price shopped and you bought something that was cheaper because it was cheaper, because it fit your budget, because you could afford it? All right, how many of you went, how many people here who listen to this have a car? All right, do you own the most expensive car that there is? Of course not. Well, not everybody does. All right, how many of you own a Toyota or a Prius or a Honda or a Jeep or any car that is more like an affordable vehicle? All right, does everybody here own a Lamborghini or a Maybach? Of course not. You buy something that fits what you are willing to spend. So just because you're not the best in the world doesn't mean you're not worthy of making a sale. Doesn't mean you're not worthy of money. This is money mindset. And a lot of people, I've said this 3 times already, a lot of people have very, 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 very poor money mindsets. Belfort said, would there be networking opportunities? Well, if there are people, there's networking, Belfort. So that answers your question. Anytime there are people in the room, there's networking. Pac Riley said it right. Even if you aren't the best, you pitch yours and they want it. There you go. You don't have to be the best in the world to sell something. Again, do you buy the most expensive of every single thing that you own? Do you own the most expensive of every single thing you got? Probably not. All right, I got on a pair of, what I got on right now? I don't even know what I'm wearing today. All right, if I get a pair of Jordans. I go on this website called Flight Club. I get some Jordans. I don't buy the most expensive ones they got. I buy the ones that I want. And sometimes the ones that I want might not be the most expensive. Actually, they aren't going to be the most expensive, because any of you ever buy some Jordans, they got Jordans for like $5,000. I'm not spending $5,000 on a pair of Jordans. I like Michael Jordan. I don't like him that much. I'll spend $300 on a pair of Jordans if I really want them, but I ain't spending $500 or $5,000. I will spend $500. I won't spend $5,000, and that's me. I'm the consumer. I make that decision. So it's not your choice what somebody should buy. You're a salesperson. It is your obligation to sell your thing, and they get what they get. If they don't want your thing, they will go buy something else. If they do want it, they will buy it. That's the game that you're in. Again, money mindset, folks. But I got something coming for y'all on that. And at Work on Your Game Live, we'll talk about that in detail. So I've been talking a lot here already. I got to record today. Today is a recording day for me. I'm going to be recording a lot for my Work on Your Game masterclass on this mic right here on this seat. So that's what I'm about to get to. I appreciate everybody's time and attention here today. Get your ticket to Work on Your Game Live by going to that link right there. It's also the link in my bio. I'm going to post the replay of this on my, what do they call it, the IG Live tab on Instagram. I'm also going to post the recording on YouTube. It'll probably be a week before this comes out, but the recording will be on YouTube. So if you're not following me on YouTube, just look me up, Dre Baldwin. I'm on YouTube. I post videos there every day. My podcast comes on there as well. Everybody, y'all know what it is. If I can answer anything for you, you can text me at, here's my text number right here. Anybody wants to text me, you can text me at that number, or y'all know how to use the DM. Y'all can hit me in the DM. I plan on seeing many of you who is here. Y'all been on these lives I've been doing the last few days. I plan on seeing y'all Work on Your Game Live. I want to see your registration, so I know that you are coming to the event. Get your ticket, workonyourgame.live. I will be doing another live. I'm probably gonna do a live. I'm not gonna make any promises. But I'm gonna be doing consistent lives between now and at least when the event happens. I'll just leave it at that. So everybody have a great afternoon. I'm gonna be right here recording. Let's get to it. Work on your game. Do I do features on podcasts? I know a few. You mean on other people's podcasts? Yes. My podcast is solo, but I do appear on other people's podcasts. So send me a DM or text me, Pat. All right, everybody have a great day. Work on your game. We out of here.